Good morning. Hey, Barb. Good morning. Early. And maybe that's from, I don't know if that comment is from earlier or not, but good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, August 16th. I'm waiting for Danielle, my guest, to get logged in. So I don't know if there's some technical challenge. I know she is at work at WellBiz. This morning, our topic is, I don't want to say SEO because it's more around just how to be found and Google tips from an expert. She is a certified, anytime you need to know anything about Google things, I always ask Danielle, and she is a friend and a client. She is the digital marketing manager over at WellBiz Brands. So she manages the web presence for all of the franchise locations for Elements Massage, Fitness Together, and Fit36. They have three different brands, and every franchise owner always runs to Danielle with questions of, how do I get found, and how do I make sure my Google site, my Google My Business is set up right. And so she, I'm not sure what the challenge is, but we're gonna dive in anyway. I'm looking to see if if she is coming on. Otherwise, I'm going to jump in on one of the topics that her and I were going to talk about, and that is domain authority. And as a small business, I know this sounds like really techie stuff, but it's really not. It's a lot of times I get asked a lot, would you like to contribute to our blog, or vice versa? Can I contribute to your blog? Can I be a guest contributor on your blog? And, you're never sure, like, is this a good thing to do? Is it not a good thing to do? I mean, getting backlinks, and I'll make sure I'm explaining this to all of us at all levels, because some of it just sounds techie, and when you really understand it, it's not that techie. And, a backlink is when a authoritative site, so a backlink is really when any website references your website. So they might be talking about a topic in a blog, and they say, here's a great resource, or there was a great blog post on this other website, and they link back to your website. And it could be that if you're a guest blogger on a site, then at the bottom of that blog post, they let you put your byline with a link back to your website. So depending on how you want to look at it, those are considered backlinks. They're true backlinks. They're going to your site. Now, there are a lot of places that do shady backlinks. And I know this because we work with clients that we go in and we see, you could see where the links are coming from. And they're sites that are not in this country, or they're from some random website that has all these Viagra ads on it. And so that somebody is paying a fee. Just put our website on this spammy site, and it's going to send links back, and it counts as a backlink. It's just not a good backlink. So, it's one of those things that it's not good to have links from just random places. You want to have links from authoritative sites. So that's what I want to look at, is how do you know? Hey, Kim, good morning. And definitely, if you have SEO questions. Now, I don't consider myself an SEO expert, but I do the SEO for our business, for our own company. I have never hired someone to do SEO for our company. I've just been one of those people. I tell Dwight, who's our web manager, I always say, I know enough to be dangerous. And whenever I get into trouble, like, oh my gosh, I just deleted, our whole website, Dwight rescues me. But on SEO, I know enough to be dangerous. Oh, okay. Danielle is stuck. She just said, I think she's stuck in traffic. Oh no, Danielle. But so I'm going to answer SEO questions, and I'm going to explain a couple things on domain authority. And Kim, how can you unlink these bad links? That is a hard one. You can go to, you can follow the links. So if you look at your backlinks, you can look at where that link is coming from, and you can contact the site owner. And we've done that. Sometimes it works. You can say, please remove my link from your site. But if it's a really random spammy site, they're probably not going to respond to you. And if you hired an SEO company in the past that was just a I hate to say that they were shady, because some of them, it's just how Google worked back then, is you just tried to get all these backlinks going to your site, and Google ranked you higher if you had lots of links. So people were tempted to buy these fake backlinks. And a backlink should be coming from a legitimate site. Like when someone writes a blog post that says, here's the 10 best Italian restaurants in Littleton, Colorado, and they list the 10 restaurants. Well, those 10 restaurants get links back to their site. That's a legitimate way to get a backlink. If you guest blog somewhere and you have a link back to your site, that's a legitimate way to get a backlink. So backlinks are very important, but you want to earn them the right way. And so, yeah, sometimes you get backlinks on these spammy sites, and it's hard to get them undone because they're just not legitimate sites or companies. And that is really hard to do. But I'm sure if you hound that site, we've gone to the domain, who owns that domain of that backlink site, and just kept requesting, like, we need our site removed from this. We need this, removed. And sometimes you can get it. Sometimes you can get it done. But domain authority, let me see if Danielle, I think she sent it maybe via text. Okay. Oh, no, she's logging in. She was stuck. I thought she was stuck in traffic. She was stuck in another meeting. So she's logging in. So as soon as I see her pop in here, I'll pull her in. Good morning, Heidi. And Barb says, a lot of legitimate sites of the past were picked up by spam operators when the legit sites gave up their domain. That's a great point, Barb, is, sometimes you just don't know. But that's why, you can find someone that can do this for you. And again, I am not that person, but you can hire someone to say, I want you to dig into my backlinks and see which ones are legit and which ones are not. And then, make sure that works. There's Danielle. I see her. Okay. I'm going to pull you in here. Okay. It pops you in. It's notifying you. And this is Danielle. Danielle, I'm so sorry. See, Danielle and I both are the same in the sense that we work at like 11 o'clock at night. And then some nights I shut a bunch of things down early. And so Danielle sent me an email late last night. And then I emailed her early this morning. And so our early and night owl habits get us in trouble communicating. And so I'm hearing an echo. And then I emailed her early this morning. I have a feeling, you know what, Daniel? If you have Facebook open on your computer, turn Facebook off. Because that's probably what it is. Yeah. So let me introduce Danielle Euthus, and I'm going to show her her name here. And like I did introduce you and talk about you. Danielle is like the digital marketing guru over at WellBiz Brand, but she's also a travel blogger, and I love this. She's has this love for travel and is again an expert in all things Google. I said I always ask Danielle things, and Danielle and I will get together and talk about blog topics for the brands, and then we'll just start geeking out on Google and Google things and being findable. So, and Danielle, the topic that I was jumping in on early was having your domain have an authority. Like when someone asks you to guest blog on their site, or if somebody wants to guest blog on your site, I always go in and check what their domain authority is of their site, because if their domain authority is really low, then it's not a great site to get you a backlink from. Like you want to get links from sites that have high domain authority. I know that's totally a random topic, but that was one that I jumped in on before you got here. And let me see, Michael has a comment. I think it's a comment. A great way to create high quality organic backlinks is publishing an infographic. You're right. And then creating a snippet of code for others to share, because then you want to get your content shared on other sites, and people love infographics and they may embed them in theirs. So creating a snippet of code for others to share your infographic via iframe embed. See, now you're talking techie here, Michael. In your article, politely ask visitors to embed. Yeah, and that's another thing. Some people will share your stuff, but they don't link back to you. So, asking people, can you backlink to my site so it gives you a good place? Which I was trying to look up, and because I drew a blank, the place where you check Google authority. Danielle, you might know that. Your domain authority. Is it? I know Moz, I think, is where I always start.
Yeah, there are quite a few tools out there that you can use. Moz is a great one. I love Moz. So
yeah, I know. Moz has Moz. If you just go to moz.com, they have a lot of great tools and blog posts to help teach the non-tech person just the basics of understanding search engine, how it works, and how to be found online. Yeah, and
it's always changing, and people are always talking about backlinks. And back in the olden days when it was called SEO Moz, and it was,
right.
You could buy these links, and you could, buy backlinks and set up all these extra sites and link them to each other and do things that would today be considered black hat almost.
Right.
But really now PR is SEO. Really, the PR is the best way to get backlinks, and just linking up with some of these blogger groups and that kind of thing, mommy blogger groups or meetup groups or something like that is really where the most impact is, especially when you're talking from a PR perspective.
Right. Right. So that is okay. And Michael says, I can't help it. Geek equals fun. I know. I'm always trying to be cautious, that's why I always laugh when Dwight, our web manager, when he's on a call with one of our clients, I'm always on the call with him because I need to occasionally translate. Because I know that he's saying words that he thinks everyone understands, but some of these things are just more, and I think they're more intimidating, but once we really learn what they're doing, we go, oh, it's not that hard. And I'm going to hide our names because it hides Danielle's face. A little bit, I think, on my end.
I'm like in a weird room in the office, like in a closet in the office here.
So this could be considered black hat SEO topics.
This is like my black hat SEO.
Yeah, we should have worn black hats and white hats. Which that term alone, people go, what does that even mean?
Yeah, that's
kind of the old days of SEO, which were kind of shady, and they weren't legit links back to your site. And then white hat SEO or ethical SEO. I mean, nowadays it's just great content, which is one thing, Danielle, I know this is what gets you geeking out, is when we talk about Google Answers and trying to get your content showing up as the answer, which I was surprised. I read something that said Google retired Google Answers. Is that different than the one we're always talking about?
I think that's a different thing. I think that was more so hosted on the Google site. The quick answer box at the top of Google search results I don't think that's going anywhere. And I am obsessed with trying to get that content, as you know. My team knows every time it comes up, I say, can we turn that into a question? I want to get after those quick answers. But really, if you, things like how to tip a massage therapist or something like that, I mean, you would be amazed how much traffic you can get from answering questions that people are asking all the time.
Right. Which, Danielle, yesterday, my Facebook Live, I said, instead of SEO, we should call it SPO. And that stands for searching people optimization. Like, what do people search for? How do you optimize your content for searching people? Not necessarily writing for Google, but it's interesting because I also know that if your title of your blog post is less than 60 characters, and if it has a question mark, so it's a question that people actually type in and it's short and sweet, it's going to get better rankings than long titles that are clever. And I fall into that. I try to be clever sometimes with titles. Clever might entertain you as the writer, but they're not found.
You can always put clever in the actual title, but in the page title is where you want to put.
And that's a great point, because I didn't learn that until maybe 6 or 8 months ago, that you could have your blog title and then your URL, which is the permalink, the URL, you can edit and make that short. I was like, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could change. I thought they had to be the same.
And so you could have your URL, your page title, and your actual blog title be all different. It's just that in standard content management systems like WordPress or something like that, they make them all the same by default, just so that you don't have to manage it in each place. But you can if you'd like to.
So for those of you who are going, what the heck does that mean? You have your blog title and that's what shows up on the page that people look at. But the URL at the top, when you are behind your blog loading it, you can change. And I think on WordPress, it's called a permalink. I'm pretty sure it says permalink. I look at so many different platforms, but I think in WordPress it says permalink, and it's just the URL that you can edit. You'll see the little edit button. Go in there and shorten it. 50 characters is your goal, or 60 characters. And that includes your, like our socialconnects.com / whatever the title of my blog is. I try to keep it now. I'm counting characters, try to get it 60 characters. But what have you learned about Google Answers? What are some of the other tips?
Really just figuring out what those questions are. And there are some different tools that you can use, but if you're looking in Google Trends, that kind of thing, you can find out these topics and then just base all the questions on it. Another tip is that if you have video with it, it helps, I think. And so if you have something like, how to build muscle, or, can you build muscle from high intensity interval training? That might be one that maybe it's not searched that much because it's a longer one, but if you have something that, or like how to tip a massage therapist, that's a little bit more common. But if you have other multimedia videos with it or content with it, infographics are big. The only thing with infographics is Google can't read the content in the infographic or the content in the video. So that's really where you need the text and the video paired together.
And that's where when you're loading your video in YouTube, if you're loading it to YouTube and then you're going to share that, you're going to embed it in your site, Make sure you take the time to fill out all the tags and the description, because that's kind of the only thing Google has in a video is what you've put in there in if you upload the closed captions, that helps. If you put the description and really make your description area meaty with all those keywords and what this is about, that helps. And then embed the video, and that helps. Heidi asks, what about stop words in the page title, which you can take those out on that, the shortened URL. What do you say about the stop words?
Really, you just want it to read as the question that someone would be Googling. So it's okay to keep them in there if it's something that someone would naturally type in. And so you don't want to, you don't want it to seem like your keyword stuffing where you're just saying, like massage, get a massage. You know what I mean? You want it to say how much do I tip a massage therapist?
Right. Yeah, because it's closer. Again, I always say the closer the searcher's question is to your content, the closer that match is. And there's lots of other variables, but it's going to be a better match for Google.
And so keep in mind that Google's goal is to serve the user the most relevant content. Right. It's not to provide websites an opportunity to rank themselves. So their end game is to get the user the most relevant content. So in SEO, if what you're providing is relevant to the consumer, that's number one.
Right.
And you should always think of pushing your message secondarily.
That's right. And that's why we're always saying, what are the top FAQs for your perfect avatar, that ideal person that you are targeting and you're hoping is searching? What are they? What are the top 10 questions they ask? And, if you start with that, and then if you hear another question from someone else that you're talking to on the street, or you're talking to customers, ask your customer service teams, what are the questions we're hearing? Those are the pieces of content you should be writing, because that's going to be, what is going to be probably found. And
a lot of sites already have an FAQ page. Right. So what I would recommend for that is to take that FAQ page and then break it into one post or one page for each of the questions.
Right.
And then link that overall FAQ page to each individual question so that it has its own page with its own page title, meta description, that kind of thing.
That's actually a great point. Not even a blog post. And then later on, if you write a blog post that's a spin-off of that, then link in that blog post for more information, check out our FAQ page on this, and you can link internal links to that page. But the page title for each FAQ, like take all people put their FAQs. As a matter of fact, there was a woman we were working with getting her whole site, her business launched, and she had FAQs, and they were great FAQs, but they were all on one page, and they were just 10 questions with a one-line answer. And I said, oh my gosh, these are great questions. And you can elaborate on the answer, and then let's build pages, for each one.
Exactly, because if you have them all on one page, then Google doesn't know which piece of content to pull out and put in that box. All they're reading is, this is a list of frequently asked questions, but they don't know what Google doesn't know what that question is that's being answered to pull out in a bite-size little.
And then I'm going to tie this to social, because once you have your FAQ page, now every time again you have social media posts that tie into that topic, link to that specific page within the FAQs, or anywhere on your site where you're getting that type of content. Which, real quick, we said something earlier and it just dawned on me. We said stop words. A stop word is not necessarily a filler word, but words like that. And I'm trying to think of others that are common. Stop words are just filler words. They're not necessarily keywords. Is that correct?
Yeah. But I think it's the same, whereas if it's just a fluid question, if you say, exercises that tone your legs or something like that, it's okay to have that in there instead of just always putting
just keywords.
If it's more so true if you're going after quick answers, that stop words are okay. If you're going for just a regular page, maybe you do want it to be a little bit more keyword heavy, but still readable, so it doesn't come across like it's keyword stuff.
Yeah, because remember, it's going to pop up in the search results for people who are searching, and if they can't understand the way it's written and it looks too spammy the way it's written, it's going to hurt you. Now, this is a great question Heidi asked about word count. And this has to do with FAQ. She's asking, what about word count on FAQs? Does Google need 300 words for searchability? This, I believe, is true for every page, blog post or not, right?
Yeah, you'll want to put, lead with the meat of the content. So lead with the very core that contains the answer. Right. And then try to make that at least probably around 300 words. It doesn't necessarily have to be 300 words, but then if you have it longer than that, then Google will link to the rest of the article so that the consumer can read more.
Right. And I'm always looking at, we try to aim for 500 word minimum on pages of content or blog posts, because sometimes if they're too short, there's not enough there for Google to see that this is really a relevant, meaty piece of content that somebody's searching for, is kind of how I try to think of it as, if it's too short, it's not enough there, but that could be. So yeah, questions like that. Okay, so Google answers. And the reason, for those of you who've never noticed, when you do a Google search, Google has a little box that pops up, and it's almost like it's saying, this is the answer to that question you just asked. Mm-hmm. And it puts it in a box, and it gives you, the writer of that content, kind of the authority. And what I've noticed is the more specific your content is to your niche. Again, if you do some research, this gets a little more technical, but if you do some keyword research, and let's say that you have 1,000 people a month who are searching for a specific question, and you have 20,000 people a month who are searching for these other keywords or this other question, sometimes it's better to go for that 1,000-word people or 1,000 search group, because you can rank higher because there's not as much competition. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, again, you write content and manage large brands. So do you sometimes look at that more niche audience, or do you go for, let's get to the top of a generic term?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely a sweet spot there where you want to find the content. So a lot of times what I look at is the striking distance. So keywords that maybe we're ranking for on page 2 or page 3. So we've already built up some credibility with Google around those keywords, but we want to pull them up to the first page. So it's not like we're starting completely from scratch. Or if we do want to start completely from scratch, we might look at something with a tiny bit less search volume that's more relevant. Particularly with fitness brands, there's so much content around fitness. So if we pick something that's a little bit more niche, it would be something like, what to eat before and after a HIIT workout.
Right.
Where it's something where people who are actively doing HIIT workouts all the time, it's something that's really relevant to them that they really care about. So we can really find a little sweet spot of people there. And I'm seeing some of the comments coming through. Google Answers is not the technical name for it. It's so Google Answers is a different thing that's kind of a platform.
Okay, because that got retired a few years back.
Yeah. So this is Google. This is Quick Answers. Or I just heard a new name for it yesterday. I think it's like the Answer Bar or something like that too. So there are a few different names for it. It hasn't really caught on too mainstream yet in terms of what brands and content creators are focused on quite yet. When it first came out, a lot of SEOs were saying, why would I want this? Because it's just posting, it's showing the answer, so they're not clicking through to my website. Right. So that's a good point as well, but you would be amazed how much more visibility and traffic you get.
Oh, totally. I always, if I see that Google answer one, that's usually the first one I click just to see what the full answer is.
It's right there. So it's
right
just
there.
Everyone
and I also look at it and say, Google has said this is a perfect match for what I'm searching for. So it's probably going to. Yeah, Google must be right. I'm not going to argue with Google. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I think that is different. I think it used to be that Google had a site, which now there's the whole, not Echo. Is it not Echo? It's Alexa. That's what I was like. Wait, it's the other name I call her. Alexa is a website that has answers. So there are different ways, and I think the old Google used to take what are the top questions being searched, and then what are the authoritative answers, and they tried to get all that on a page for people to go to. But now what we're talking about is having yours show up as the most relevant match. And be there. And I know you said you had to, you have a meeting at 9:30. I was like, I know.
That's okay. I can kind of,
okay.
I can kind of be a little bit flexible.
Now, the question that I started with is when someone asks you to, because it kind of goes to the PR side or the promotional side, when someone asks you to blog on another site, or if they want to blog on your site and link back to their site, the domain authority, the interesting thing on Moz, if you just go to Moz and then look for domain authority, there's a box that you put your website in, your URL, or another site. So if a company asks me to blog on their site, I plug their company in there. And I think you want to look for sites that have a domain authority at least 20 or greater. Obviously, the higher the number, the better. But if they're below 20, if they have a domain authority of like 3 or 7, or it's like, don't even bother. I know that's probably mean, but
I would also look at their social media presence too. So maybe if they have a low domain authority because they're just getting started, but they have 20,000 Instagram followers or something like that, it could be worthwhile. I'm usually skeptical of allowing other bloggers to post content to brand.
Right.
I mean, if it was just my own site, I would maybe be a little bit more lenient with it just because it's more content. But if it's a business site, I think you really have to be careful with promoting other sites.
Right. And if you're a guest blogger on their site, is it worth your time to do it? It could be, because it could be a backlink to yours. But if it's a backlink from low authority sites, it's not going to help much. So that might be one way that you make that decision. And Kim asked, how do I get 2 people to pop up on Facebook Live? This is a tool called BeLive. If you go to BeLive.tv, they allow us to, as a matter of fact, I'm not doing a good job of doing this, but I could pop the questions even up on the screen so that we can see the question that Kim asked about this. And BeLive has all these great tools. And I think it's $25 a month. So it's a cool tool. But yeah, it's, I think our goal as a business is always, I'm spending all this time creating content. Is it helping? Am I even being found? And Danielle does a great job of just looking at even analytics, of just looking which posts get the most traffic and eyeballs to it. And then, and we talked about this, it wasn't yesterday, but this week we talked about taking your high performers content on your site and saying what made them high performers. Was it the title? Was it the way it was written? Was it trying to look at why, asking why, and then going back and replicating that next time with other content. Take your low performers, and it may not always work on a blog post, but a low performing web page, go in and beef it up and look at, maybe I need more content on that page. And so that, that's one way, again, to constantly improve your website is just take one page a week is what I like to do. Just one page a week and tweak it,
Exactly. And a lot of times brands get stuck in a cycle where you're trying to promote the content that you want to push out, and you're not looking at what the consumers are looking at.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's surprising. On some of the fitness brands, people are looking at the trainer pages. And the trainer is something that we wouldn't have thought of as something that we wanted to promote, because we were thinking, every Orange Theory has trainer, every brand has these fitness trainers. So we're not really thinking about developing those personalities as something to do until you look at the traffic and say, well, it's pretty much the top visited page on the website.
Yeah. And then you go, okay, how can we capitalize on that? How can we utilize that better? And that, again, and it was really interesting when I looked at mine, I found that I have one blog post that has like 200 comments on it. And it's because it's a question everyone wants to know is, how do I set up a Facebook page and without it being connected to my personal profile? I mean, that's like the number one question I get. And there's tons. My daughters always laugh because they go, do people think you're the Facebook help desk? Like, I get emails every day. Like, I need you to help me with this. And they'll say things. Yeah, I know. And so, but it made me stop and think, is there a part of our products or services that I'm not even thinking that could be developed when I'm getting so much traffic around this topic? Maybe I need a coaching program that answers these questions. And so sometimes we ignore the analytics when they could be telling us something to really help shape our business.
Yeah. Or, a service level that you deal with all the Facebook issues or something like that. And it's the same with a website redesign or anything like that. People are constantly going, we want to change the look of this. We want to change everything all at once. We want to change the whole design at one time. Instead of taking one page at a time and saying, what's the traffic to this? If I change one call to action button, let's try changing that first and see if that gets better or less results before we just give the whole thing a facelift.
Which is interesting, because one thing that we've done is we've gone through and just updated pictures for people, putting new graphics and putting the alt tags in there that were non-existent. Like, so many people have websites that have lots of images, but there's no tags on those images, which is that's a missed opportunity for SEO. And just going in and refreshing the look by putting new images that are updated or maybe bigger size, and then putting the alt tags and descriptions the right way, it all of a sudden will boost that page rank as well.
And alt tags are something where, designers don't care about them.
That's right.
Content people don't really care about them. It's one of those back end SEO things that you have to actually take the time to pay attention to, that a lot of people just overlook it.
Yeah, I always say when people design a website, they assume the web designer knows SEO, knows how to write content, and knows, like, they're all so different.
Not one of them.
Right. It's true. So you have to look at it and say, I will need, after my website is new or refreshed or whatever you're doing to it, I need to go in and have somebody look just with an SEO filter. Do I have all my tags on there? Do I have meta descriptions on my pages? Things that, again, we might hear and go, oh, it just sounds too techy and I'm not going to do it. But it's just describe what's on that page so Google can search it,
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of the things that it's the easiest to overlook. And one of the questions that came through is, do I really need alt tags? Well, comparative to what? So do I really need them? I mean, you need content first, probably. You need something on the page. So it just depends on where your priorities are. If you have all day to spend on your website, on this one page, then you can have the time to throw them in there. In the grand scheme of things, it's probably gets pushed lower and lower on the priority list.
Yeah. Well, because we don't understand it. I mean, it's one of those things. If we don't understand it, we don't know how to hire a person to do something that we don't even know how to hold them accountable for. So a lot of companies hire an SEO person, but they don't know. The SEO person goes, yep, we got everything done. Well, it's like, what did they do? That's what, whenever clients ask me, well, is it worth it for me to pay this person for SEO? I go, I don't know. Like, what are they doing? Tell them to write out a list of activities that they have performed. So, what are they doing for you?
Where, it can be, SEO is really tough that way because you can pay contracts that are thousands of dollars a month where they're not really changing that much month over month, but at least somebody is keeping an eye on it. So it's just a really tough balance. If you don't understand SEO at all, it's worth finding somebody that really knows what they're doing to take a look at it and make sure you have all the critical items in place. But something like an alt tag is not really a critical item.
Right. But it's interesting because Kim made a point saying, in my blogs, I don't have the time. Do I need to make the time to add them? I've seen so many blogs where there's no metadata on that page whatsoever. There's no meta description. There's no tags. And I'm thinking, you just took the time to write all this content and then it's being put on there with nothing for Google that doesn't have H1 tags or H2 tags or, little things that make a big difference when it comes to that content you just spent time writing. No one's going to find in a Google search. Like now you're going to rely on social, driving people to that specific post to find it because no one else is going to find it. So I think, and I always say I allot 30 minutes to do my SEO tagging of a blog post after I load the blog. Just set aside 30 minutes. It's going to take 30 minutes to load that blog with the tagging, or find someone that can do that for you and just say, I'll pay you 30 minutes every week to load my blog, and those tags. But you need to know, I think as a business owner, we need to know enough so we know how to know that it was done because
exactly.
How would you know,
Yeah. How do you know that it's done? And what is the impact of it? If I add these alt tags, is it worth my time?
Right.
And, it's a very tricky balance there, but people are pumping out blog content constantly. And if the entire point of the blog content is to rank in Google, which it is for most people when they're creating blog content,
right,
then, not adding something like the page title, the descriptions, to not optimize it for SEO is basically counterproductive.
Right.
So,
right.
A lot of content is out there. Not all content is being found. And in some cases, it's easier than you think to be able to get it to rank. You can also, use the same content for social. So if you have a robust content piece, you can make it basically omni-channel. You can repurpose it for a PR piece. You can repurpose it for a social post, and you can also get this SEO at the same time. And then the more traffic, even if it's paid traffic that you're driving to it from social, will still help it rank better organically.
Right. And I've talked about this before, as we use a tool called Social Jukebox. And Social Jukebox, you can put all of your past blog content into this jukebox. And so we promote it like the first couple weeks through Hootsuite. We schedule it for specific times and places, different. Then in Jukebox, you're going to keep that evergreen content. If it's a topic that's good forever, keep it being promoted. Because sometimes we forget. It's like, oh yeah, I had a great post 3 months ago and I quit promoting it after the first week. So Social Jukebox allows you to keep that out there being promoted forever. I always say when I die, I'm going to have so much content still going. It's awesome. But use tools like that to keep your content, because that does keep driving traffic back to the content.
And you can notice it if you follow some of the bigger sites that are pumping content, like some eCards or, some of those that just have like fun little articles.
Right.
they're doing that, and you can notice it. And they'll switch out the picture, and it's the same.
Yeah. Same content, different picture. Heidi had a question. She said, are you talking about alt tags tagging images or alt tags in the content? I mean, alt tags refers to images as far as I know. And then metadata, which would be your tags, your key, usually in WordPress, it'll say your tags. You put all your keywords, which is different because alt tag is just when you load the image, it asks for the alt tag, it asks for the description. And in your description, you want to put what that, see, it's interesting because I always say, if you put what the picture is, that's not helping you. Like this is a picture of a man at a desk. But put a description of kind of in context of what that blog is about or what that page. And then the alt tag itself is keywords. And then there's the title of the picture, which is interesting because that also makes a difference. How you name your photos. If I say man working out, you want to put hyphens, which is another, it gets into a lot of work but at least alt tags by themselves are your keywords in there.
Yeah, and so to just go through the tags on the page, that when we are talking about H1 tags and H2 tags, that stands for heading tags. Yeah. So you're basically telling Google, this is a heading. It's like an outline where you're saying this is a heading, meaning it's more important or it indicates better what this content is about than the supporting text. And when we're saying meta tag, it's the page titles and what we're saying the tags are on the page. And then when we're saying meta description, it's a longer description to tell Google what it is. And SEOs have been talking about for a while that Google's not placing emphasis on descriptions anymore, but I still would recommend adding them anyway.
Well, to me, when you do a Google search, the search results that come up as the searcher, you're going to see your little meta description under the bold text of the title. And then the little bit of text that's under it is what you put in there. Exactly. And sometimes if we don't put it in there intentionally, it's not Google, it's WordPress or your website is going to just take the first sentence of your blog post and it's going to make that your meta description. Sometimes we might start a blog post off with a story or a random sentence that as a searcher, when I read that, I'm like, oh, that's not what I was looking for. So I may skip it. So you want that first sentence, and it doesn't mean you have to change the sentence in your blog. It means the meta description, you can intentionally craft that so it's a piece of the blog post that's compelling,
Exactly. So if you're writing like a creative lead or a funny lead or something like that, if that gets pulled in, then it may change
the searchers.
It may change the opinion of searchers to see is this relevant to me or not.
And here's a great exercise for all of us. Next time you search for anything on Google, pay attention to what comes up on page 1 and look at what is the text in bold, because that is their headline that they have in there. What is the text under that? That's the meta description they typed in. Which one would you be most compelled to click on? If we start being a student of this, then we start looking at, why did I click on this one over the top one? Well, it seemed more like it was relevant to me. That's how people are making the decision.
And then in the same way where if you have a blog post take a look at your highest ranking post and see what you do differently in the meta description there than you did on some of the other posts.
I mean, to me, I could spend all day just looking at analytics of our site of going, why did this one rank so high? Or our social media analytics. Why did that post do so well when we thought it wouldn't do well? And then this post that we spent so much time on didn't do anything. Just ask why. Look at things like, was it the time of day? Was it the title? Was it a question? Was it, asking why around your content? Why did this perform so well helps you repeat that behavior. Danielle, we could go all day and just talk about geeky topics like this. But I think that the key point I wanted to make is SEO is not as mysterious as we think. It's really just understanding you're writing content for the people who are searching. And if you can best match that, you're going to win.
Yeah, you want to think from Google's perspective and from the consumer's perspective. And Google thinks from the consumer's perspective. So it's consumer first, Google second, and then your personal agenda third.
Exactly. And it is interesting because, again, being clever with our titles and being clever with our writing, because we think I've written a post about being like Magnum PI, and I wrote this whole post about Magnum PI and how our team is like Magnum PI because it was a huge ranking post because I guess there's still a lot of people who search for Magnum PI, but it was like a horrible post for our business because it was attracting people who were searching for something else. So high bounce rates. So, just think of what is my real consumer searching for and write for that person. And Google will be happy to serve it up because they want to please the person searching. We act like Google's a person, but I think they are somewhere. I think they really are. Danielle, I'm so grateful you checked your email this morning early. Okay, well, I'll get better at
my emails and a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, we'll get better at working normal hours. But thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're crazy busy in meetings all day. So thank you for sharing your exciting wisdom. I want to just end with a personal, is there a website that you're blogging at for your travel fun stuff?
I'm not currently. I have blogged in the past for the Huffington Post travel blog and for a blog that's called watchboom.com. And so that's my favorite travel blog, but I don't have a current travel blog.
So where should people, if they want to connect with you, I know on Twitter you're D Youthis.
I'm D Youthis on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So you can connect on social media. Yeah. And I am obsessed with SEO. I'm a complete SEO nerd, so I'm happy to get any follow-up questions.
Yes. I love it. We love that about you.
Schema data is my last.
No, and here's what I have to, another fun fact, her mom, who works for Hyatt, is geeky about this stuff too. Like, I can't even imagine the two of you together.
Oh, it's worse than you and me together, which is still pretty geeky.
I need the two of you. We need to get together for lunch, and just so I can see the two of you in action.
Yeah, we should go live because we're twins, and my mom's book is Click Here: The Quick Study Guide to Internet Marketing. So it has a lot of beginner tips, and it really not even just beginner, just interesting facts and tips and that kind of thing.
What was it? One more time. Click Here.
Click Here, the Quick Study Guide to Internet Marketing. And she's coming out with a new version of it that I'll let you know.
Internet marketing. There we go. Cool. And Marianne, we need to give her a plug, a shout out.
Give her a little shout out.
Yeah, we'll get her on. We'll get her on. We can have three of us here. So we'll have to schedule another one.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I could geek out.
I know. Yeah, we can have a geek fest again soon.
For sure.
Okay, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Gina. I will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye. And thanks everyone for joining me. I love that I saw, Kevin, your comment about you've been lurking every day in my Facebook lives. But today was the first day to watch and listen. I've been doing this challenge every day going live, and I'm trying to line up more guests. It's just so much time. This going live thing is, it's fun, but it is a lot of time to do that. So, but thank you guys for your questions, your comments, and be sure to join our DIY social group. I'll put that on here, DIY social, which Kim had said that she could help me with a coaching program. We actually have a coaching program, DIY social, DIY.social. And then, but our free Facebook group is just DIY social. If you search for that in Facebook, you'll find our group, and it's facebook.com/groups/DIY social if you want the specific URL. But in there, we just share marketing resources, tips, tools, questions, answers that we come across, trying to help all of us in this crazy world that we live in with marketing, how to build our business. So thank you guys. I will be here. This was a long one, but a great topic. I knew it would go a little bit longer. So thank you everyone. And I'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.